All right, we're on live right now. Oh, it's March 8th, everyone, 2025. Happy Women's Day to all the amazing women all over the world that are going to be watching this video. Wow, what a time to be alive, right? What a time to be alive, to be walking in the shadows of those that have gone ahead of us, that have fought battles, that have made their voices heard. So a lot of us could have opportunities, fair opportunities like we do right now. It's such an honor to be a woman, and it's such an honor to be here, hopefully adding my own little voice in our growth, our development, and our contribution to the society as women. All right. So, guys, as we celebrate Women's Day, we set out this summit that we created, which is the Elite Women's Tax and Business Summit. And it's all about empowering us with the information that we need to thrive in all that we're doing as women. It's a 3 day summit, and we started yesterday with women who are on a career path, that work as employees, breaking down their pay, making them understand the strategies that are available for them to be able to maximize their home pay. In addition to that, how they can negotiate an increase in their salaries. If you haven't watched the video from day one, you have to watch that recording. It was very powerful. I got so many responses. So many people reached out to me privately. Thank you guys. And I can't wait to provide all the additional guidance that you could need beyond these sessions. So today, this is day 2 of our summit, and it's one of my favorites because we're going to be talking to the business women. And our title for today is Profit Like a Queen. You hear that? It's so powerful. Profit like a queen. And the whole idea is really understanding how you can scale your business to the next level without having to lose your sanity. Because I will tell you one thing, as business owners, as women who are mothers, have family responsibilities, sometimes building a business, sustaining it, expanding it can take a huge toll on us. So I'm really happy that we're going to be diving deep into this today. And then tomorrow we'll be talking to nonprofit founders. So if you have any friends that are a nonprofit founder or serve on the board of a nonprofit organization, send them to tomorrow's segment. Okay, they cannot afford to miss. So let's go on. I am Dr. Lily Binglo. I am a licensed CPA. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author. I am a tax strategist. I live and breathe this stuff. Okay. I'm also a professor at Regent University. I teach accounting to the MBA program over there. What else? I do so many things. So I'm excited to be here. And if you've never met me, this is the first time you're meeting me, you're going to know one thing. I love to share everything that I know. I want to empty myself to you guys as a service and a contribution to my community. Because when you know better, you make high quality decisions, you build successful and sustainable organizations, and we all benefit as a whole. Okay. So, as I said earlier, today's focus is profiting like a queen. All right. This is about making money without losing your mind. Entrepreneurship has a way of stressing you out. Anyone who's an entrepreneur and who's watching this would testify to the fact that entrepreneurship will strain you. I mean, it's going to pull you in directions that you could never even imagine, right? Stretch you, I mean, in ways that you could never even imagine being stretched. Some people go into entrepreneurship, and before you know it, they're like, I can't have enough of this. I'm going to get a job. And I don't blame them, because the stress of running your own show, like they call it being the boss, has a very high price to pay. But it's my hope that today, by the time we're done with this segment, that you would have at least some tools that you can apply to make this journey worthwhile. Okay. It is my belief that going into business with the desire to make a profit should not be something that is going to cost you your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, or even your financial health. Right. And because I have been on both sides of it, I think it is a privilege and an honor that I can use my personal experiences as well as those of clients that I get to work with to sow something into the spirit or into the mind of the next entrepreneur, so she can do it differently, at least better than a lot of us did. Okay, so everyone who is in entrepreneurship, you know, there are a couple of issues we deal with, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'll list a few, and I'm sure we can all identify with it because these are the areas that we're going to be addressing today. Again, remember, our goal is for you to increase your revenue, maximize your profit without getting burned out. Okay, for everyone who is an entrepreneur, here I wrote down a couple of issues that we can all agree on that you would face, especially when you're at the very beginning of your journey. The first thing is that you're going to get overworked, right? As an entrepreneur, you're your own. First of all, you're the person providing the service or selling the goods, but you also are your own marketer. You're your own accountant. You manage your social media page. You're your own leadership coach. You're your own HR. There's all this stuff that you have to handle all by yourself. And so it can easily lead to you being highly overworked and you're constantly pulling yourself. And what happens is it impacts the quality of service that you end up providing to your clients because you're everywhere and you have to do everything, right? Another issue that we deal with a lot in entrepreneurship, especially the newer entrepreneurs and even seasoned entrepreneurs, is underpricing. Sometimes it's because we don't know any better, but a lot of times it's born out of low confidence. So you see a lot of entrepreneurs that underprice, and then what happens is they get so many clients because of the low prices that they are charging, and then they end up getting burned out because they are working for very little pay and serving so many people. They end up not delivering as effectively as they should to the people, but worse still is they don't even make a profit. So it really becomes something that they want to leave halfway and just go back to getting a job, right? The third thing that we struggle with is that we undervalue our services. We undervalue the what we bring to the marketplace. You're gonna have you ever sat and talked to a woman who was so knowledgeable? Like you take a problem to her and you say, this is one of the issues I'm dealing with in my business, and she's gonna break it down and give you solutions. But then if you tell her, have you considered doing this for other people? And I'm not sure that they'll be willing to pay me for it, right? And so we as women, sometimes we struggle with this because we tend to undervalue our services. We tend to undervalue our contributions to the marketplace. And when that happens, guess what? We deliver less than par, we charge less than par, and this journey of entrepreneurship ends up becoming a burden to us. Okay. Another problem that I see that we struggle with, especially the newer entrepreneurs, is poor or no delegation. Okay. I can tell you one thing, you can never do this alone. But sometimes, even when people get the help that they need, they might be so bad at delegating. Have you ever worked around someone who will tell you to do this? And then the moment you're struggling to learn, they just come and do it for you? That's someone who's bad at delegating because they are not able to let other people step into different roles and do it. Because there's that fear of maybe the person is not going to do it well, or they're going to take too much time to do it. And that causes them to step in and start to do it, which shouldn't always be the case. So being someone who struggles with delegating, it's always going to overwhelm you and it's going to make you struggle in your journey of entrepreneurship. And of course, even becoming profitable because you can only do so much by yourself. Your business should not rely on you alone. Right. Another issue we deal with too as women is the personal responsibilities that we have. Oh my goodness. Again, there are many entrepreneurs that do not have kids, but I always start with the kids one because most entrepreneurs are wives or mothers and they have to take care of kids, have to take care of their homes. There is that. But even for the ones that don't have necessarily spouses or kids, a lot of them tend to take care of their family members, their aging parents. Oh, God forbid if they're a firstborn daughter, then they have the whole family to take care of as well, right? So there are all these personal responsibilities that come as well that make it such a struggle for us to grow in an entrepreneurial journey, talk less of building profitable businesses. Okay. And then the next one that I see a lot is the struggle to attract and retain capital. Many of our businesses, especially women-owned businesses, struggle so much with capital. And when I tell you, when it comes to men, and again, I don't like to generalize, but I've seen that some men are more daring when it comes to seeking out alternatives for funding. Women, we try to want to do it ourselves, right? We try to save the little money we have, or we want to do our best. But the thing is, without seeking capital or with limited capital, you cannot build a successful businesses. Now, a successful business, you can start a business all right with your personal money. But if you're going to scale, which is what we're talking about today, you cannot scale or make take your business to the next level if you're bootstrapping. So when you're using your own money, for your business, we call it bootstrapping, right? You're taking your money, you're putting it back. You're only going to go so far. I mean, think of someone who is doing hair, who makes hair products, and then they get a huge order from Walmart. How much? I mean, maybe you've saved some money, but for the most part, you might need a loan or you might need some kind of funding to be able to supply and take the business to the next level. And so, with us not being able to seek out funding or secure funding, it definitely impacts how far we're able to take our businesses. Okay. And then the last issue that I've seen that we struggle with the most in our businesses is not having a long term plan. If you watch my session yesterday, I said it. I said research has proven in so many years that women outlive men. But what happens is we do not plan for longevity, right? So you might have women that might retire and live 30 more years before they pass away. And so with us going into entrepreneurship and not thinking about when we're going to retire, not thinking about our exit strategy, it usually also impacts how we build the business. Because if you're not thinking long term, there's a high chance you're not going to put strategies in place to take charge of that. Okay. So now that we've identified some of those issues, and I'm sure anyone watching this, you will likely resonate if you're a businesswoman, you or even a guy, you will resonate because these are issues that we deal with all the time. But thankfully, we're not just going to talk about the issues. Today, we want to explore how we can actually scale our businesses. We can actually increase revenues and profits without losing our minds, because this thing is hard to do if all you're focused on is trying to make ends meet right now and do it within your limited capacity and abilities. Okay. So we're going to start. Before we start talking about solutions, there are a couple of questions I want you as an entrepreneur to sit down and ask yourself. Even if you've been in business 10 years, if you're struggling to scale, if you feel like your business is still stressing you out, all of these questions are extremely relevant for you. My first question for you is, why are you in this business? You see how this question seems very simple, but let me tell you, if you're not able to go back and clarify why you got into this business, it's going to be very hard for you to scale your business. Starting a business is easy, especially if someone presented you an opportunity that could make money. At the start, maybe you were making money, but there can come a time where you start to lose your mojo, you start to lose your passion. And that's where it gets really hard now for most people to scale, because you have lost passion and you kind of just let it, go day by day and just let things happen. It's so important to go back to the drawing board. Ask yourself, why did I even start this business? Because if you've forgotten what brought you here, just sitting down and reflecting on that, it can ignite that fire and that passion again. That's extremely important. I know when I step into places, people are always like, I've never seen a CPA, I've never seen an accountant who is this happy. It's because I understand that this is purpose. I understand the order that what I do brings to people's businesses, how it restores hope, how it takes away fears, just being able to help someone resolve an issue with the IRS, how that makes them excited again to pursue their business because they don't have to go through sleepless nights trying to figure out how to deal with the IRS letters that they're getting. You see, because I understand why I'm doing this, I can wake up every day with passion. So I want you to do the same, because sometimes when we lose sight of that, we kind of just let things slide by. And that's why it becomes very difficult for you to scale. The second thing I want you to ask yourself is, what is really my short term and my long term goal for this business? Sometimes people go into a business because someone told them that they were going to make money, but they never really saw themselves being in that business long term. I want to challenge you. If you're in one of those businesses where you feel like you've outgrown your time, get out of it, so that you can put your time and your resources in a business that's going to bring you joy. You see, one thing I said here is we want to make a profit, but we don't want to make a profit that is going to sacrifice our mental health, our emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual, or even, yes, I mean, the financial part can be good. And the reason I say so is because as we grow older, the one thing you don't want to do is be in something that you feel kind of disgruntled. So ask yourself, what is my short term and my long term goal? Now, if your short term goal is to make a lot of money, take the money and reinvest somewhere else, then ask yourself how we're going to accomplish that. If your long term goal is to keep the business and then sell it down the road, that will help to influence how you're going to be structuring your business. Because if you plan to sell, how you structure will play a big role, right? If you plan to pass it on to your kids, that will also help, because then I have to start incorporating my kids in the business from a very early stage. But it's very important that you clarify your short-term and your long-term goals for the business. Okay. So the first thing, clarify your why. Second thing, short-term and long-term goals. Even financially, where do you want to be financially in this business? Because if these things are not clear, all the stuff I'll be talking about is not going to be helpful to you. Okay. The third thing I want you to do is ask yourself and be very honest. What are the skill sets that I'm lacking in? And what are the skill sets that I'm great at? Now, for the most part, you will know what you're great at. If you're a good communicator, nobody needs to tell you, you know you're a good communicator because you've had feedback, you've had results, you've had things to back you up. But the one that we shy away the most from is looking at ourselves and owning up to what we're struggling with. I need you to ask yourself, what are the skills that I'm struggling with? Now, the reason you need to ask yourself this is because two things have to happen. You're either going to decide if you want to educate yourself and develop that skill set, or if you want to outsource it. But you see, the lack of the knowledge of where you're lacking is going to hold you back so much in business. Let me give you an example. If you have a financial advisor who is so good at it, when they sit with someone, they can put a really good financial plan for that person. But that person is bad with administrative stuff, which means when they meet with you, they will have a good conversation, they will put a plan, but they never follow through to put it in a system. You see that? That person is so bad at that, it's going to cost them so much money, even though they have done the excellent work of getting a client, educating the client, and even putting a plan in place for the client. But because they don't have the discipline to do the administrative task that requires all of this to be entered into a system so that their money should start flowing, they're going to struggle. So you always have to look at yourself. There are people I know that are so good at certain things they do behind the scenes, but they don't like people. Not that they don't like people, they just don't know how to deal with people. You know, one time we had an issue with our website and we had a tax software company. The guy who reached out to us, he's a tech guy, smart guy, but bad with people. I mean, just from my first conversation with him, I was already frustrated, right? And then when eventually I got to talk to somebody else in their team, the person said, "Oh no, this guy is really a back end guy," and he was trying to help us resolve an issue. The problem is he was so bad at communicating. Like he's just not a customer salesperson. And so when you're a business person and you can acknowledge those areas where you struggle with, you're going to go far because now you will know I either have to develop or I have to outsource. Okay. The next question want you to ask, the fourth one is, who do I need for my next level? Remember, we're talking about increasing revenues and scaling. Let nobody lie to you. You can only go so far by yourself. Any person who is in business who is stingy or selfish or feels like they have to keep everything, you can't go far. There's no business that is going to grow when there's only one person doing it because there needs to be a system. There needs to be people. So you want to ask yourself, who are the people that I need on my team to be able to go to the next level? The next question I want you to ask is, what are the systems I need to put in place? A lot of us have been shying away from automation. I'm guilty of it because when you talk tech stuff, I'm just like, let me talk to people. I want to talk to people. I want to teach, right? But the truth is, our world needs us to automate a lot of things. And if you're not acknowledging that that's an area your business needs, all the other people are going to be going ahead of you in the game, right? If we want to increase our revenues, if we want to increase profitability, we must be competitive. And in order to be competitive, you have to use the tools that others are using to save time, to operate efficiently, and to scale. Okay. And if you don't know, find people who know. But those are questions, again, these are questions I want you to ask. The next question I want you to ask yourself, which is so important, is what is the price you're willing to pay? You see this one of what's the price you're willing to pay? That's where many people can talk a good talk, but will never have results. The reason is because depending on the season that your business is in, there are sacrifices that must be made, which means no matter how much you might love to party or want to be everywhere, your business might be in a season that needs you to commit 60 hours a week. Is that a price you're willing to pay? If you're not willing to pay the price for your business to move to the next level, it will never move. So I'm asking you all these questions because I want you to start thinking about these things before we start talking strategies, right? You have to ask yourself, what price am I willing to pay? What am I willing to do to get the results that I want? Because if you don't want big results, then you don't have to pay a big price. But if you want big results, you have to pay a big price. Sacrifices will have to be made. You have to protect your time. Certain relationships will have to be cut off. Are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to stay back and put in the extra hours? Again, that's a question that you have to answer. And my last one is, do you have an exit strategy? Okay. So these are questions that I want you to think about while we go in now, and we'll be addressing each of those issues that we already mentioned and how we can make sure that we're increasing our revenues and definitely taking home more of a profit. All right. So the first one, you remember what we talked about? Our very first thing as business owners has always been the fact that we're overworked. Why? Because we're wearing many hats. And so the first thing after we've talked about doing your skills assessment is, please get the people that you need for the right place. Okay? Don't shy away. I've never seen people who are more selfish with their money sometimes compared to entrepreneurs that are trying to save but end up spending more. I'll give a good, I'm a tax person. One thing I don't do, I'm not too concerned about working with everybody because I know the value I bring. But you have sometimes someone who is in business, they will not want to pay a CPA to help them with something, to work on their taxes and give them advice. But they'll rather pay someone on the street. And then the person is going to cause them to get into trouble with the IRS. And they end up doing what? They end up spending more money. So the first thing I want you to do as an entrepreneur is start making investments for the people that you need. Okay? Don't shy away from spending money. Don't try to be cheap. Because if you want to be cheap, you will never go far. Remember, we're trying to build our revenues. So the first thing we want to do is invest in the people that we need. Where are we lacking? Who are the people that need to move this? I'll be very honest with you guys. You see everything happening on here. If you see this whole tech thing happening, when I tell you that I've been blessed with the best team, I could never do this, but I love to teach, right? But because look, God has helped us to get the best people that we can together create opportunities like this to share all this wealth of information and impact the marketplace and impact our community. Can I do it by myself? No, I can. And that's why as a business person, you need to know where you're lacking and make the investments for those people that you need. That's the first thing. I'm starting with that because you're not going to go far if you want to increase your revenue without having the right people. Now, once you've put the right people in place, you know the second thing I want you to do? I want you to identify your clientele. Please let nobody fool you. You're not meant to work with everybody. You need to keep that in mind. Oh my God. Hey, Emmanuel. I see you, John. Thank you. Guys, the second thing here, please hear me out. You're not meant to work with everyone. You're not meant to. Not everybody will be your client, and everyone is not supposed to be your client. The reason that is important is because when you finally identify your client group, remember, we're talking about increasing revenue and profitability. When you finally identify your clientele, when you identify your customer base, a lot of things are going to trickle down from there. Everything else we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about pricing, for example. But you see, if you don't yet know who your ideal client is, you're going to think that you have to chase everybody. No, you cannot do that. So once you have identified areas of weakness and you've found the people to put in there, the next thing you want to understand is who your client is, who your client base is. Once you have understood who your client base is, I want you to take this with me to hear this very well. I want you now to identify or try to diversify your revenue streams in your business. This is important. I did not say identify your income streams. No, you do that when you have scaled in one business. I'm saying in your same business, how can you diversify your revenue streams? Now, in other words, with your current expertise, how can you do, what are the different ways you can continue to bring in income with your current clientele? Let me give you an example. If you are someone who is a consultant, you're a financial consultant. Hey, Riza. Okay, Riza is a financial consultant, right? People are paying her for her time. That's a good revenue stream, consulting. Now, what if Riza was writing books on what she's already sharing with clients? That's the second revenue stream that she's doing. She's in same business, using her same expertise, and that's what she's doing. The next thing, she sets up what? She sets up a subscription system. In her subscription, she says, if you're paying me every month 50,000 CFA, for example, or $100, you get to sit with me every 30 minutes every month for me to look at your portfolio and give you advice, or for me to answer your questions as to where to invest. Do you see how she has a third stream of revenue in the same business? She has not gone out, the same business, right? And then in the fourth one, she realizes, wait, there are people that provide certain services like investment buckets that I could partner with, right? And then we can do referrals. I'm not an investor, I'm just an advisor. But if I partner with them, what is going to happen? We can have a partnership agreement where I get a revenue, some kind of revenue for referring the clients that I provide advisory services to for income, revenue stream. You see that? So you see, I did not say you should diversify your income because I don't want you running multiple businesses at the start. No, you have to start and build one business first to be successful. And when it starts running on itself and making enough money, then you can diversify income stream. But for now, we're talking about that revenue in your business, finding different ways to continue to use your expertise to bring in more revenue. Is that okay? So that's the third thing I want you to do. All right. So the first thing was, of course, your strengths, finding someone to meet the places where you're weak. Second one was identify your ideal client. Third is to diversify your revenue streams. Then the fourth one now is for you to go back to your drawing board and price for profitability. This is very important. When you're setting your prices, two things have to matter: value, profitability. Do you know what usually happens to a lot of people? They just set a price, sometimes because it's what the standard is. They want to compete with the marketplace so they can get clientele. Sometimes it can be a very low end, or people will tell them when you put a high value, you set a perceived value, which is true. There's that perceived value that comes with, hey, if this person is charging higher, they likely are very knowledgeable. That's true. But my focus for you is not necessarily about just creating a perceived value or wanting to serve everybody. Is to make sure that whatever price you set, it matches the value you're bringing to the marketplace and is going to ensure that you're profitable. Why? You're going to hire people. You're going to put systems in place, right? You're going to do a lot of self-development. You're going to make all these investments, which means the value that you're going to start bringing to the marketplace, if it was like this, is this high. Don't just pick a price because the top person in the marketplace is charging this. Ask yourself, when I meet someone, right? And I'm going to be picking on Riza because she's here. Riza is providing financial advisory services, right? I'm just using that. If Riza now is advising someone and she can help that person save $1 million from a wrong investment that they could have made, but she prepared like a financial projection for them and showed them where they could save money. You see the value she's bringing in. Now, if she charges that person 100,000, 200,000, that person might not be mad. But maybe the going rate for the high end might be 50,000 for a financial projection. But because she's going by the value that she's bringing to the marketplace, her price is fair. So don't get caught up with the pricing of the market or the pricing for a perceived value. Focus on what you are going to bring into the marketplace as your value. Because when you're honest with your value and people can see it, trust me, you don't have to run behind clients. So when you set your prices for the value you're bringing in and to make sure that you're going to be profitable. And if you bring high value and you price at that, there's no way you're not going to bring in a profit. Okay, so that's the next one: price for value and profitability. My fifth one now, for those that have not been documenting processes, you want to start documenting your processes for two things: one, for automation, and two, for delegation. If you remember, I didn't bring automation too early because it was very important for you to know who is going to do what. Find that person, to know who your clientele is, to know which revenue streams you're going to be seeking out, to know how you plan to price so that you can know where to focus your energy. You don't want to do processes for everything that you may not need. Once you have narrowed it down here, now you can document your processes, because when you document your processes, first, it allows you to be able to automate. Now you know, okay, I can get a system to do things for me more effectively. But then also, so when you hire people, it can help you to train them. So by documenting your processes, you'll be able to automate and you'll be able to delegate. Very important, guys. Remember, when I was talking about the issues we face, a lot of times we are burned out because we're not delegating. We could have people, but we're not delegating the correct way and we're not letting them to train. So by you documenting the process, not only allows them to take on the role, but also to make their own mistakes, improve it, and continue to learn and grow without you stepping in to interrupt the process. Okay? Anita, I see you. Hey, Anita. Happy Women's Day. Now, the big one comes in after you have set up this. This is where you build a team. Did you notice something? When I started, I said, fill the place for areas where you're weak. It wasn't a team yet. What I mean by that is when you're going into a business, remember we talked about doing an assessment of your strengths and your weaknesses. You have to know what you don't need to take on for your business. All right. I'm going to pick on John Ita right now because that's my brother right there. And if you know one thing about John, John can sell anything, right? He's just good at it. He's just good. He knows how to take an idea, he knows how to frame it well and to be able to sell the vision. All right. Now, if I know that I don't have that kind of capacity, there's no need for me struggling with that. I will find someone like John to help me in that area. John does not need to be my on my team, but John can be someone I can leverage his services for that. That's why I said find people for where you're weak. Now, when you start to build a team, the team now is when you're building in-house. The team now is where you're finding employees. The team now is where you're getting people where they will start to work so that you can step away sometimes from the business and the business will continue to run. Does that make sense, guys? And I want to differentiate this because the team can be mini yous that you're bringing in. So let's say you're a financial advisor like Riza. Riza, if you're going to hire people, you want to also hire financial advisors in your team. So your team starts to have people who could be like you. They can add value in different areas. They can all make up your team, but they are the ones that will continue running your business. At the start, our focus was the gaps, your gaps, so that way those things that could take time from you because you were bad at, you're not paying attention to it. That makes sense. I really want to differentiate this because sometimes people get it mixed up. No, your team is very important, but your team is also different. So you don't get to overwhelm your team with things that you could outsource. If you know your business cannot handle marketing, why are you trying to ask your team to do marketing? Those are things that you would get people for. That was the first one. All right. So now the next thing we're going to talk about is understanding now the tax laws and your business structures. So once you've set all these things in place as a business owner, you have to now understand what goes on regarding your taxes. We're talking about scaling. If you're going to scale, once you've built the team, the next thing now is to understand where do I fall when it comes to my taxes and my business structure? Because if you are in a business structure that does not allow for growth, you're going to struggle. There are many people who start a business as a sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is like the women that sell in the marketplace, right? Mami Gary, who is carrying her Gary and selling, she's a sole proprietor, doesn't need to register a business. She's taking it and she's going. The problem with people like sole proprietors is that they end up paying the most in taxes because there's no opportunity for them to leverage too many strategies. In the US, they pay self-employment taxes of 15.3%, and they still have to pay income taxes on their profits. You see how much taxes they can pay? But then now, as a business person, when you talk to someone and you tell them, this is where I'm trying to get to for my business, and they can help you structure your business entity. So maybe you were title before, now they can help you register your business. You can become an LLC, it's going to give you protection, but also it's going to give you flexibility for taxes because you can tell the IRS, I want to be treated as an S corporation, I want to be treated as a C corporation. With you understanding now these different tax laws and understanding how you can structure your business, you get to leverage all the tax strategies that are available for you. Because by now we're making more money, right? We've already adjusted our pricing. We found our clientele. We've adjusted our pricing. We're bringing in more money. But the thing about bringing in more money and not understanding the tax laws is that you're going to end up giving it back to the government. But almost every government knows that businesses are important to sustain the economy. And that's why you usually would have tax strategies for business owners. But the reason business owners are struggling is because they don't want to pay the people that understand the tax laws and the tax code to help them interpret it so they can apply it to their businesses. Okay. And so for people who are ignorant, you end up paying the price significantly by paying higher prices. So invest the time to understand the tax laws, your business structures and entities, because that will help you save a lot in taxes and maximize your profit. So instead of giving your profits away to the government, you can keep more. For someone who is going to watch this, I'll advise you to watch some of the videos I talked about taxes. I talked about the different business entities and tax and how much taxes they pay. But I just want to point out one thing. Based on how you structure your business, it can limit you first from getting protection. That means if somebody sued you, they can come for everything you own if you're a sole proprietor, for example. Now, If you structure yourself as an LLC, you could still be taxed as a sole proprietor, but you can have flexibility. The problem is if you stay as an LLC, it can prevent you from getting investors. An average investor does not invest in an LLC because they are not trying to be a partner in your business. So you want to consider setting up yourself as a C corporation. The reason that people like C corporations is because they are not personally involved. They just want to invest their money. They go away. You hire managers, you hire CEOs, they do the work. Any profit that is left, they take their own share of the profit. They are not concerned about the organization. So now, for you as a business person who is thinking long term, I want to raise funding, I want to seek funding. And here's the thing with a C corporation: anybody can invest in your business, whether they're in Cameroon, whether they're in China. You can have investors from all over the world. You cannot do that if you're an LLC, for example. So, with you understanding your business entities and the different structures, it can help you as a business owner now to put yourself in the entity that will help you raise funding, will help you save in taxes, and allow you to grow and expand your business to all types of levels. Okay. This is one of those very heavy topics, but I just summarized it so someone watching me for the first time can get a good idea of how important your entity structure is. As a matter of fact, even when it comes to selling your business, there are certain entity structures that will limit you from selling it. Oh my goodness, it's 35. I'm over time. It was supposed to end in 30 minutes. Okay, good. So I'm going to my last 2 points. My last point, in fact, is last two. Yes. So the next one is understanding your exit strategy, which I was just talking about, which will come down to your business entity structure. And the biggest one of it all, ladies, is to be able to build wealth and build a legacy. Look, if you make all this money and you're not investing your money so that it can start to work for you, then you just failed yourself. Okay. So as you start to make all this money, after you've applied all these things we've talked about and you're scaling your business, you're saving on taxes, please invest, invest, invest. I told you guys yesterday, women have been known to be very conservative when it comes to investing. Please take some risk. But before you take risks, do your research. There are so many investment vehicles. Today, we're not going to focus on that, but do your research. Start small so you don't feel overwhelmed. Okay. Know that you're going to fail sometimes, and it's okay to fail. Failure is all part of learning, because sometimes people think because they invested their money, it's not supposed to like they should not make mistakes, or someone. No, you could still make mistakes. It's part of the learning. Okay. The end goal is for you to put your money somewhere where at some point the money will start to make money for you, right? We've talked about retirement accounts, we've talked about investing, even in Bitcoin. We've talked about I always talk about real estate, just because the value of land and buildings, no matter where you go in the world, will always appreciate, except in different times. Okay. So keep that in mind, you guys. There are other ways you can invest businesses, but I'm hoping that for every woman who is watching this, you should know that you can scale your business. You can increase your revenues and your profits, and you don't have to lose your mind. You don't have to lose your emotional health. You don't have to lose your spiritual health or even your financial health. You can do these things if you put all these strategies in place. Okay. If you don't have a CP on your side and you would love to have a conversation, I do have complimentary 15 minutes meetings that you can hop on. Or if you have a question that is very particular to your business, you can hop on that 15 minutes meeting. You don't have to be our client. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. If you do want a full hour meeting, I also have that, where we can talk about tax planning and tax strategizing. We all have those. If you have not bought my planner, the planner I do for business owners every year, you're losing out. It's the business planners for entrepreneurs. You can find it on Amazon. Guys, the amount of information I put on this planner, you will not believe it. I mean, look at me struggling to give you guys so much in a few minutes. Then think of this planner. It's everything you need as a business owner, even from business structuring to business strategies to planning out your year projections. All of that, it's in that planner. Get it for yourself. Get it as a gift for someone. It's an incredible tool to have. I'll be so happy to be a resource. I'm just going to check if we have any questions, because I'm supposed to be in and out of here in 30 minutes. I know they're looking at me now like, So remember, this was day 2. So excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be focused on nonprofit founders. So if you have any ladies, any friends, any sisters that are nonprofit founders or on the board or thinking about starting a nonprofit, tomorrow's edition is going to be focused on them. Okay. Day 1 was on for our career women. Today was for the business owners, and tomorrow is going to be for the nonprofit founders. Please share the word and let them come and drink of this well, because I want to pour all out. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you guys and listen. And I really hope that we can continue to impact, inspire, and challenge each other to change how we think. Today is International Women's Day, and I know a lot of us women, there's so much we don't know, but so long as we expose ourselves to keep learning and keep pushing and taking it one step at a time, there's no limit for us. So many men are out there who want to support us, and they are willing to even stick their necks out. So it's left to us to take up space, continue to learn and add value to ourselves, so that we can build a very solid community amongst ourselves. Yes, John said invest, invest, invest. Yes, yes. Investment is key. And if you cannot buy one land by yourself, there are investment buckets, like pools. They call them pools, where people come, they put money together and they buy. So you don't have to feel like you have to do it by yourself. Because when people tell me I can't afford to buy a house by myself or land by myself, you can join other people. There are a lot of resources available for things like that. Yes. Thank you, John. Happy, 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 happy. Please give Madam my happy Women's Day. Oh, for everyone who joined, thank you. Riza, you're the best. Thank you for taking the notes. I still owe you. We'll have our own day coming. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for being here. I want to make sure that I didn't miss any questions. I didn't miss anyone. Thank you guys so much. It's been day 2 of our Elite Women Tax and Business Strategy Summit. Thank you all for being here. Anita, thank you for being here. And I can't wait for tomorrow. Everyone, enjoy responsibly. Okay? Enjoy responsibly, and let's continue to support each other and grow. Thank you, Edith. I see you coming on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Please make sure, if you need help, you need guidance, anyone who's going to watch this, feel free to hop on my calendar. You should have seen the little QR code to scan on. Yes. Oh, is it taking the loan from me? We're going to talk about that, because we're going to. Oh no, I already did that. I did funding last week. Watch the video, Yvonne, that I did on funding, on securing funding. Okay, that's a really good one. I talked about the different ways to fund your business. Please check that one. Yes. Thank you. Oh my God, Mr. Kim, thank you for joining. Thank you all so much. It's been a great afternoon. I'm going to bow out right now. Happy Women's Day, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with me. Everyone on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. See you guys tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Tell everyone who is starting a nonprofit, who already founded a nonprofit, or who serves on the board, not to miss tomorrow. It's going to be a good one.